I thank the member for his contribution. The question now is that the amendment be agreed to, and I call the member for Dunkley.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak on these bills as a Labor member of the federal parliament who believes in and understands the importance of education and vocational skills and training for the future of young people. I'm also standing here today as a representative of a community which proudly boasts both Chisholm TAFE and the Monash University Peninsula campus. We understand in Dunkley how important it is for our young people to have educational opportunities, particularly educational opportunities in the public sector. Chisholm TAFE is an institution that Frankston residents, Dunkley residents, people from the Mornington Peninsula are rightly very proud of, because it has given young people opportunities that they otherwise would never have imagined that they could have. I am very proud to be married to someone who is a graduate of what is now Chisholm Institute, but Frankston TAFE. My own husband's story is one of not finishing high school, of going out and working, and then returning and doing his VCE at Frankston TAFE. And if it wasn't for that publicly funded institution that was there for him, he would not have been able to go on to the career that he has had, which includes now being a professor at Monash University, which brings possibly the educational cycle full circle. But his story is not a unique story in my community because of Chisholm TAFE. But it's been a hard struggle to keep that institution alive and functioning and where it is. We are very lucky that under the current state Labor government, Chisholm TAFE has had a massive investment. We've just opened phase 1 of a redevelopment. Our institution is now a magnificent modern building, but more importantly is a magnificent modern site for our young people and our older people in our community to go and access training and skills for the jobs now and the jobs of the future. And if it wasn't for the state Labor government, that wouldn't be the case, because it has not had one single cent, not one single cent of federal funding gone towards that redevelopment. The state Labor government has contributed $46.9 million to the $83.4 million project, and will put in another $67.6 million for stage 2. And what have we got from the current Liberal federal government? Nothing. But Chisholm TAFE now boasts a state-of-the-art health community centre, early childhood education and hair and beauty wellness facilities, innovative new student spaces and classrooms, and redeveloped trade facilities, including a purpose-built, flexible, integrated design centre. We are so proud of what we have at our TAFE, but as I said, it's required the community to back it, and it's required the state Labor government to back it. I've been to that TAFE countless times in the last 12 months, and I've visited there many times the young women who are doing a VCAL program there, young women who are teenage mothers, who have not been able to complete their education and are determined to get the education that they need for a brighter future. And they go to the Chisholm TAFE facility and they bring their children and they are seeking an education. They are the people that we should be backing. They are the people that require a federal government who will properly invest in our TAFE system. They are the people who suffer when we have a federal government that underspends in our TAFE and our vocational education system. The other people that in my community that I'm very concerned who will suffer from this government's underspend and ignoring of TAFE system, particularly in my community, are the young men who need to get the trade and manufacturing skills, and mind you, the young women, because they're growing in their, and I'm very pleased to see it, in their involvement in the training at Chisholm TAFE, but for the jobs of the future. Smart manufacturing, high-tech manufacturing. That's what my TAFE in my community want to work with local industries to teach our young people so that they can work in the jobs of the future. And they need a federal government that will back them in to be able to achieve it. We've got an economy at the moment that is crying out for skilled workers. Everyone in this place knows that that is the case. We've had surveys that would say to us that three-quarters of employees, three-quarters of employers say that they cannot find the skilled workers they need. Three-quarters of employers. I've had local manufacturing businesses tell me that they can't find apprentice plumbers. Local mechanics tell me that they can't find apprentice mechanics. That's just not good enough. We need to do better. We need to do better for our young people. We've got 2 million Australians who haven't got a job or want more hours of work. And we've got a skills shortage across the economy. There's so many areas: plumbers, electricians, carpenters, hairdressers, pastry chefs. We have a crisis in skilled workers, a desperate need for skilled workers. We've got Australians who want more work, and we've got people like the young mothers in my community, the young men in my community, the older women wanting to go back to work, the older men looking to retrain, who want to be able to go and get the education and the skills and vocational training that they need, and they can't do it because they don't have a federal government that is backing in the sector that it would provide it for them. We've got a government that has underspent the TAFE and training budget. It is just not good enough. $200 million last year, and over recent years, over the last few years, up to $919 million. A federal government close to $1 billion underspend in a crucial education and training sector that is important for now and important for the future. $3 billion worth of cuts. And really, I stand here more in sorrow than in anger. Of course, like many people in my community, I'm angry. But I am sad that we have a federal government that won't back in my community and the people that are in it. Labor's not opposing these bills today. We are welcoming the practical effect, which is creating a simpler arrangement for students and for the processes of decision-making, student placement and VSL help recrediting. We understand that students should be protected and assisted in the case of provider or course closure. And of course, this package of bills is part of an ongoing effort to address the impact of program vet fee help, which saw increases in course fees and unrecoverable student debt. So there are good outcomes from this bill. But there are concerns that have been raised by stakeholders about the exclusion of fee-paying students, the cost of the levy being passed on to students, and for TAFE to take on poorly trained students in the event of a course closure, which is why, although Labor supports these bills today, we also want them to go to a committee to ensure that issues are addressed. And I join my fellow Labor members of this place to say that this is a sector that just can't be tweaked at the edges. We need a proper reform package, and we will continue to advocate on behalf of our communities for that reform package. The reforms of the Andrews Labor government, the free TAFE courses, have made an amazing difference to people in my community who otherwise would not have been able to go to TAFE and afford to be part of it. 36,000 students have started free TAFE courses in the 9 months to the end of September in Victoria, and Chisholm Institute has played a major part in that growth, with more than 6,000 students starting free TAFE courses. 6,000 students. I went to a graduation ceremony recently at Chisholm TAFE, and it was joyous. The looks on the faces of the people who are graduating, young, old, from many places across the globe and across our state and from Frankston, was pride. Their families were there, they supported them and they were proud, and that's what I want for every young person in my community and every young person in Australia who wants to get vocational qualifications. I join with my Labor colleagues who point out that appointing an ambassador for trades is no replacement for reforming a sector to train young Australians and older Australians who want to be retrained to get trades. What we need is a government that will properly fund, properly invest TAFE and universities, that won't cut research funding from universities, that will back in people who want to access education but can't afford it by properly funding the sectors. The people of Dunkley know how important education and vocational training is to a good future, and what they want is a government that understands that in the same way that they do. And I give them this promise: they have a federal member who understands it in the way that they do and will take every opportunity to stand up and support the public provision of education and training in Dunkley and the wider Mornington Peninsula region.